The Yu-Gi-Oh! Rogue tier list for November 2023.
My friend, you've already lost.
Rogue Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks are not only the epitome of this channel, it's also the epitome of our heart. Courageous, that dog in them, and more importantly, we come when you least expect it.
Pause.
Wait, not like that, not like that, not like that! My Rogue boys, I need you guys to unite, as this one's for you, big dog. I'm gonna be rating the most popular Rogue decks on the tier list to tell you how powerful they are. Bang! So the criteria for this tier list is simple. A couple of things that I wanted to keep in mind for Yu-Gi-Oh! Players is some of those decks that costed a little bit more above a budget Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck, but also could be really powerful in the game. It's a nice little happy medium between finding an uberly competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck and finding a deck that requires a decent amount of good Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards to operate, and that's what I came up with this Rogue tier list for. You can use this tier list as an amazing basis to determine what decks that do require a little bit of change to play that you should play, so let's go ahead and jump on in and see how powerful these decks are into the format. Let's go ahead and start off with ABC. One of the most expensive cards for this deck is Revolution Synchron, and that's why it's on the Rogue tier list and never a budget. I would say, this deck really takes a good pilot. Unfortunately, since Revolution Synchron, ABC hasn't really done much, and it's had some really powerful cards to be able to use, like Ancient Fairy Dragon, to help you cycle ABC parts into your graveyard. I would say the biggest problem for ABC is that once it does get interrupted, unlike most combo decks, it pretty much just stops there. But a good player, once they get the ABC parts going around, they gonna be singing mode in a Jackson 5. Sharks, my boy. Okay, so the next biggest thing that I like about these tier lists is that I have a sincere humbling. On my last tier list, I said Sharks were a terribly powerful Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck. I actually misspoke. Now, don't get me wrong, the things that I said about the last tier list, with Sharks getting so much power from Age of Overlord, is still very true. Pump your brakes, big dog. But one thing that I did not take a bite out of is that the new Xyz Armor Fortress monster cannot be used as an Xyz material if it has material under it. That is normally not a problem at any given time until you realize that Konami has only gave us one Xyz Armor card to search with this card, meaning that it has to have one material at all times for now. I cannot stress to you how important that little detail is and how bad I missed it. Once we do get another Xyz Armor card, this deck becomes way better, but for right now, takes a really good pilot. Dinos, my boy. Hey, check it. I got a raptor for you. We summoning the dinos. Your mama is a wino. I summon that Tyranno and your mama get the Spino. Boy! That was really bad, but none of you guys better not clap. Seriously, guys, if there was an M&M in Yu-Gi-Oh!, it's definitely Dinos. It has a huge player base that if I put it anything under takes a really good pilot, I just might become extinct. Dino's problems have not changed since the beginning of time. It is a great Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck, just often inconsistent and normally doesn't have a follow-up play due to miscellaneous Saris being limited. I will say though, in a combo Yu-Gi-Oh! Format, Dino is actually incredibly strong, so it actually could be in mad potential if you look at it hard enough. Ironically, Drytron is a solid choice Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck anytime players are playing a ton of hand traps in the game, which just so happens to be about right now. Drytron can be scary good. And the main reason is because Drytron treats hand traps like how my daddy cheat child support. You just ignore it until all the big problems come around, like the Bystials. Drytron has multiple ways to lock players out of their game, whether it's Magician of Black Chaos Max or the Draco Overlord Ritual monster. It's actually a pretty cool combo and toxic Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck all at the same time. There's been a couple of things that have been said about me. One, I'm the greatest content creator of all time when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! 2, I deserve your undying loyalty. 3, Cowley Effect is a MILF Messiah and a furry. Now, at least 2 of those are true. Fur Hire is a solid choice Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck right now. Right now, I think that the Sprite monsters are in a really good spot because, again, those hand interruptions are going to be really popular, and Sprite pretty much dodges them really well. The Furhire and Runic cards take further advantage by not only disrupting the opponent, but allowing you to draw a ton of cards that can potentially get you into hand interruptions to stop your opponent. I think it's a solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck right now. My Galaxy boys. One day, I will take this deck to locals, I promise, and we are gonna clap cheeks! But until then, my friends, I would say Galaxy Eyes is a real challenge. Now, I genuinely like that Galaxy Eyes can summon some huge, almost unstoppable rank 8 monsters to the side of the field. But unfortunately in Yu-Gi-Oh, it doesn't matter how strong you make your monster, it matters about those powerful effects. And unfortunately, a lot of Galaxy Eyes cards are really restrictive. Take, for example, one of their strongest cards in number 42, 47. I'm old. It's one of those numbers, man. This is why they shouldn't name cards by numbers. I can't even remember my anniversary. Number 90, Galaxy Photon Lord, is not only an incredibly expensive Yu-Gi-Oh card that I think you should avoid, it's also a card that is fairly restrictive when it comes to stopping effects. I mean, don't get me wrong, in a perfect Yu-Gi-Oh world, it's a fair, great boss monster Yu-Gi-Oh card. But compared to monsters like Baron de Fleur and Borreload Savage Dragon, you struggle bussin'. And overall, that's what makes Galaxy Eyes a fair Yu-Gi-Oh deck, which in turn makes it pretty low on the Rogue tier list. Generators, my boy, another deck using Revolution Synchron. I mean, if you take out Revolution Synchron, both ABC and Generator are ridiculously cheap. I would say that Generator is in the real challenge. Now, don't get me wrong, I still have hope for Invoked, Generator, whatever else is in that deck. But the clock has been ticking for this particular deck, and since players are playing even more hand traps now than before, those interruptions can build to be able to stop all 3 of those engines that it might have, if not more. Generators could be a really powerful Yu-Gi-Oh deck in the right situation, but for right now, real challenge is where it's gonna be. Have you noticed that every single Yu-Gi-Oh deck has balls in it that TJ likes? Manadia, balls. Gold Pride, baller. The Punk monsters that you think are girls are actually boys, so there's the balls in Punk. Ironically, I think Punk Gold Pride has mad Yu-Gi-Oh potential. Punk Gold Pride is actually pretty good at being able to play around a decent amount of interruptions, and also, since it is a deck that draws a ton of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, it can also draw a ton of interruptions. Also, to be honest with you, big dog, this deck should probably be on the budget tier list, especially when Baron de Fleur comes out, making this deck incredibly cheap and really, really accessible. I think this deck has mad potential. Dark World! We have cookies! And to be honest with you, with Dark World, the cookies are out. As a rogue Yu-Gi-Oh deck, I would say solid choice. Now, Leon ain't gonna lie, this one on me. I keep bouncing around with Dark World. First I'm here, then I'm there, then I'm everywhere. But I keep my ears to the streets, and the streets been telling me Dark World is really, really good if you're a dedicated glue eater. Look. I know some people love chocolate chip cookies. Some people love macadamia nuts. But if you make glue cookies, Dark World's for you. Dark World is really good at hand looping, and it's pretty decent at going second and forcing your opponent to use effects when they don't want to use them. The biggest problems with Dark World are hand interruptions like Drolin Blackbird, as well as Bestial monsters and DD Crow. Every single one of those cards have seen a complete surge in playability, and that's what I would be really wary about. But holy crap, if you didn't get enough playing with yourself in your adolescence, then this is definitely the deck to do. I was thinking about Yu-Gi-Oh, you perv. Heroes actually should be on the budget tier list. I'm not gonna cap, but since it's almost like an enigma for Rogue, I'm gonna put it in mad potential. Did I use the word enigma? I think since Catch Hero Rise Heart is banned, it already shows what Master Hero Dark Law can do. And cards like Skill Drain are really, really powerful in the format, something that Destiny Hero Plasma can do with ease. There's a lot of application for Hero into Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Your biggest problem is gonna be Drolin Blackbird and Bestials though. It's almost disgusting that I can actually get away with saying Infernoble is Rogue, because I think it's one of the best Rogue decks in the game. Like I said in yesterday's video, Infernoble is crazy good at being able to combo and being able to combo through hand interruptions. And Infernoble is also one of the only decks that can stop super polymerization through Angel Ring. It's a really good Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Go ahead, guys, and jump on the Infernoble train before it is too late. And when people find out that it is one of the best decks in the game, tell them your boy Cali said it first.
But don't come for me if it don't become one of the best decks in the game. We still waiting. Like for Silent Graveyard to be good.
Unlike what Martin Luther King said, I don't think that all Sprite decks are created equal. I think that Live Twin Sprite is probably the worst variant of every version available. Why? Because Bystials and DD Crow are very much played Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and being able to hit the appropriate evil twin monster in the graveyard could very much cost you your entire combo. Now, one thing that I do like about this deck is that you can play a ton of powerful hand trap and staple Yu-Gi-Oh cards because the engine is so small, but you have to be wary that anytime your opponent does disrupt your graveyard, you can be in a really big pickle. Marincess has always been down in the Marines doing sus stuff when it comes to going second against combo-based Yu-Gi-Oh decks, and now we're in a combo format. I would say that Marincess is suspect in the takes a good pilot. I think the gamble with Marincess is opening enough hand traps to be able to stop your opponent so you can play, and if you're living on that every single time, it's going to be incredibly hard to be able to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Not saying that it's a bad deck whatsoever, you just put yourself at an extreme disadvantage. But one thing that I reef right here is that Sharks and Marincess are actually on the same tier. I don't think that's ever happened on a tier list. Both of these decks 100% have their pros and their cons, and I love that they're different now, instead of Marincess just being the better water deck. Now, my thoughts on Mathmech with cards like Castor or Rice Hard Band, I think Mathmech actually has a little bit bigger potential. Keep in mind, Mathmech can summon monsters like Access Code Talker, something that becomes incredibly hard with Marincess because oftentimes you get locked with water, and as we know, Mathmech can also work with other Cybers decks a lot better. My biggest problem with Mathmech is still the same thing. Mathmech Circular is at 1. I'm trying to be toxic here. Bro, I'm trying to add up my circulars, subtract my opponent's life points, and divide my opponents to the Shadow Realm.
Master Duel players rejoice. Makonko is actually... it's pretty good in the TCG.
This deck is one of the most toxic Yu-Gi-Oh decks in the entire game. In Master Duel, you gotta worry about that best of one being OTK'd by giving them a kaiju. And the TCG, you have to worry about them giving you Acid Golem. I would say for a rogue deck, it's pretty gimmicky. It probably won't last long, but for right now, Makonko is a solid choice Yu-Gi-Oh deck. And I guess so far it can be considered the best waifu deck on this tier list.
Unless you're talking about Infernobles, but hey, I'm not here to judge you.
Rika actually did top 32 at YCS Indianapolis, and to be honest, I'm not really surprised. One thing that combo decks completely hate is having their monsters tributed. And this deck is built on tributing your opponent's monsters before they can use those effects to stop it. Plus, Rika has been a solid deck for a good 2 years. I really don't see it going anywhere anytime soon, especially if we get more plant support to make this deck stronger. Phantom Knights was also another egregious thing we gotta talk about. I once said that Phantom Knights were one of the best decks in the room. I was huffing copium. Bro, I'm telling you, once you get to that third hit, I'm no cope head, but it's hey man, the copium starts riding. I gotta thank my haters for bringing me back down to earth. I would say that Phantom Knight is one of the better decks that uses the Horus cards. It's still a really solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck. And the best thing about the Phantom Knight deck is that the only expensive thing is the Horus cards. So if you decide to want to play another Horus deck, you didn't really invest too much on the Phantom Knight side. You can just use your Horus cards in another Yu-Gi-Oh deck. But overall, this deck is comtastic. Biggest problems is the same things that some of these other decks struggle with. Cards like DD Crow and the Bystials. Salamane great. Salamane awesome. Salamane strong. I would say that Salamane Great is the best deck in the world. Let's go, baby! For some reason, you think that I would ever disgrace my Salamane Greats. You must be getting your salad tossed by someone great. You must think my fire is salad fake. You must think my accomplishments are Salomon made, like lemonade in the shade. Okay, I'll stop the brigade. Salamane Great, unfortunately, is not the best rogue Yu-Gi-Oh deck, but I still think it is a very powerful Yu-Gi-Oh deck, and I'm actually very grateful to the new support that has come out. It has made Salamane Great one of the better decks with players that actually use a brain to be able to operate it, but on the flip side, it is not way too powerful where the deck becomes way overpowered. It's such a good balance. Sprite overall would be a top rogue option for me. It's the ability to be able to summon Sprite monsters and not care about most hand traps in the entire game. Even with Sprite Elf being banned in the TCG, this deck still proves itself as one of the most powerful decks in the game and can be mixed with so many other strategies, so I don't think it's ever a bad option. Super Heavy Samurai is actually a lot better than what some of y'all gonna give it credit. The Choky Boys may have lost Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow, but this deck is very powerful as its deck is its own or an engine inside of others. Keep in mind, we're in a big hand trap heavy format, and saying that you can run so many hand traps, that gives Super Heavy Samurai the variety to play so many great cards and still start off with its 1 and 2 card combos. Also, this deck is still a synchro heavy deck, so being able to rip out hand traps on your opponent's hand with cards like Cyclone or Omega is kind of crazy good. I would not sleep on Super Heavy Samurais. I actually would not be surprised if it starts doing some things in this format because of the Arise Heart Band. And because of extra deck cards like SP Little Knight. You can't forget about that. That's actually a really big help. TGs, my boy. Now, TGs are on this tier list because the Sinful Spoils engine is really expensive. TGs are probably the very worst deck to use that engine. All of this becomes mandatory pretty much because TG Salamander is a must-play Yu-Gi-Oh card, and getting into that is of the utmost importance, and the Sinful Spoils engine can search this, but I'm telling you, this deck is probably the worst synchro deck available. And the reason why is because so many other decks do the Red Dragon Archfiend Calamity combo way better. I mean, Red Dragon Archfiend, Junk Synchro, hell, Manadium. Do not waste your resources on building TGs unless you absolutely love it and plan on using Sinful Spoils for other things when you're actually trying to win games. Next would be Therion, guys. I would say that Therion has mad potential. You guys seen my Therion deck profile. It's actually really crazy. It's really fun to play, but overall, I would say takes a really good pilot. You gotta know when to hold them and you gotta know when to fold them with Therion. Therion does have complex interactions, and I would say if you were going to play a Horus deck, I would still say that Phantom Knight's a little bit stronger because of the cards that you can play inside of that deck. But overall, it's a really fun deck to play if you like summoning huge monsters to your side of the field and simplifying the game. I think the Tri-Brigade version of Sprite isn't bad, but I would say takes a good pilot. One of the bigger things that I think we're going to notice is with those hand traps that players are going to start to be using is going to be a little less DD Crow inside of the main deck, but a lot more cards like Effect Veiler, Infinite Impermanence, and Ghost Mortar and Moonlit Chill. In that particular situation, your Tri-Brigade cards get extremely worse because those are some cards that can hit Tri-Brigades the most. Who am I kidding? I was actually surprised BBWs were anything. The fact that Theron takes a really good pilot is amazing. Yuumi is a deck that is 100% a real challenge, big dog. I would not play this Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Unfortunately, one thing about combo formats is that Floodgate Yu-Gi-Oh cards aren't as powerful. They tend to be pretty easy to play around for some other combo Yu-Gi-Oh decks, and it just does not work in this type of format. Vanquish Soul is another strategy that is almost a sin that is on here. Easily, it is a top rogue Yu-Gi-Oh deck, no debate. This is one of the perfect mid-range Yu-Gi-Oh decks for players to be able to use. I think that Vanquish Soul is ridiculously powerful, not only because the hand interruptions that are really popular right now, but also because Vanquish Soul has some hidden effects and a really big brain to play. Players just think that it's there can be only one spam. It's not that. And lastly would be Watts. I haven't changed my opinion on Watts. Watts Sprite is still probably the best way to play it, but you can actually experiment with the Watt cards in some other decks because it could be a free, I think, 4,200 damage. That's a lot. I would say that Watson take a really good pilot. It's not a deck that has established itself as one of the better decks in the game, but it's still a pretty pleasant deck to see. And I never thought that Watts would even ever make it on a tier list because when they first came out, they were bad. And this is coming from your boy from Watts. That's crazy that this is on here. And that's all that I have for my rogue tier list, big dog. It was really fun talking about these powerful strategies. Of course, let me know down below in the comment section if you think I got something wrong. And also, let me know what other strategies do you think I missed. I'll try to hit them up on the next tier list, or I'll try to comment on the comment section where do I think they belong. As always, big dog, I hope you're having an amazing day, but be sure to check out these other videos so I can catch you on the next one.